Hello guys! Today I want to talk about how you can actively build emptiness into your Minecraft worlds and into your Minecraft world building using terraforming. So let's get into it. First, I'm going to show you around this area of my world. I just finished terraforming this yesterday and we did actually part of this on livestream. So if you guys want to get a bit more insight into my process in doing these types of things, make sure to check out the live streams when they're happening or the VODs afterward. In any case, this area of my world is really big and really empty, at least by my standards. It's actually made up of a few little smaller biomes that I have kind of stitched together into one big empty area. The first one is what I call the bluegrass plain, which is a really open strip of land between these two bodies of water here. There's a small path that runs through it and goes up into this little hilly area, which then links up to this volcano here. This is kind of the secondary area. The third area I'd say is these spruce forests that go along the coast, and they go along this little fjord here. So this is built with a lot of basalt blocks, a lot of dark colored stone, trying to get the feeling of a really volcanic sort of place. Coming along here, you can see that we also have some little snow-peaked mountains, and these are serving a very different purpose to the terraforming that we did over here. And that is kind of what I'm going to talk about, the difference between how you can really build empty spaces into your Minecraft worlds. So what do I mean by emptiness really? Well, a big part of doing any kind of art really is to have positive and negative space. In Minecraft, the positive space is the actual buildings that you're putting into the world, and I would say that the negative space is all the stuff in between your buildings. Now, in vanilla Minecraft, this is just pre-generated oak and birch forest, acacia, stuff like that. But to a lot of players, it doesn't really register as intentionally empty, it just looks like a blank canvas. The difference between a terraformed forest and a regular Minecraft forest is that a terraformed forest is empty for a reason. There is so much potential in the game when you start thinking about why places are empty and why places are full, and how you can contrast those against each other. For instance, the reason that this whole place is basically empty is because over there is a structure that I consider to be the southern tip of the world. And in my mind, the southern tip of the world should feel like the end of something. So I didn't want to put any big castles and stuff around this edge. I wanted it to feel like it sort of thins out as you get toward the border. And we're achieving this in a couple of different ways. Number one is emptiness through open spaces. Especially the bluegrass plain over here, you can see that we're really getting a feeling that the world is empty because we've not only cleared out all the trees and whatever was here before, but we've purposely replaced it with basically nothing. There is almost nothing here, so you just get this feeling of walking through a very long, very empty space that, although it links up important places, it doesn't serve any function by itself. This is a liminal space. And because it's so empty for so long, the walk here actually takes a good while. So the whole time you're looking at your tower in the distance and you're slowly leading up to it. Now, of course, we do have some other sites across the water, but right now we're really using the empty space to our advantage to highlight that feeling that this is kind of the end of the world. Number two is emptiness through blocking line of sight. This is the opposite technique. Instead of having a big open area where it feels like it takes forever to get to where you're going because the land is so empty, here the land is full, but it's full of things that block the sight between two places and therefore make them feel further apart. The reason I built the mountains here is because I wanted to block both the line of sight between this build and this one here, and also the physical space. They have different architectural styles and different sort of scales going on, so what I really wanted to do is make them feel a little bit further apart and make it so that when you're in one, you're not really thinking about the other. In order to really hammer this home, I want to take you guys to an older version of this map so you can see how open it really was and how we've actually made it feel emptier by adding in stuff to the world. So here we are. This is what this place actually looked like before I did all of the terraforming. You can see this is still kind of the same, but over here, what we have done is replaced this big empty space with something that blocks off the area totally and makes it feel a lot more isolated. So now we're back and I want to talk about two more things that have to do with creating a little bit of an empty feeling in your world. And this is about scale and seasonality. So I'll go with scale first. The scale of this mountain is totally out of whack. It is actually a really small mountain. And over here, what you can see is that as we get up, the trees get really small. This isn't because there's like less oxygen at high altitudes. The actual reason is because here we're playing with the trees to imply that these mountains are bigger than they are. As we get higher, the trees get smaller, and that kind of signals that the mountains are bigger and further away. This isn't really being done for the sake of the mountains, it's being done for the sake of creating more dead space in the world. If we had terraformed this to look like rolling green hills, the actual scale might have been more realistic, but it would have made the world feel a lot smaller. Now that we're playing with scale with the size of our trees and the size of our mountains, now I mentioned seasonality, and this is where another part of it comes in. Because we have an area of the world here that is now snowy, it creates a visually distinct area of the world that is different from the area on either side of it. If this had just been, again, rolling green hills, or even worse, something like another oak forest, it wouldn't have felt distinct enough to be its own separate area. Because we have kind of played with the biomes a little bit, and even played with the seasons a bit, making this area feel a lot more wintry, it again plays with our expectations of how big the space really is, and it lets us tease out a little bit more dead space in our world. Now, I've brought us over to the other side of the mountain here by Regensburg because I want to talk about one last thing, creating spaces that are mundane but handcrafted. Now, the difference between a Minecraft forest and our forest is that this is done basically by hand. Now, for those of you who watch the stream, you know that I did this by copy-pasting a bunch of trees that I made, but from a player's perspective, this still registers as something that was actually built, and this is one of the ways that we can really make our emptiness in our world feel a lot more intentional and honestly just a lot better. By terraforming, we've kind of brought the world together a little bit, because instead of the players rushing from build to build and always wondering what the next big house is going to be or the next big castle is going to be, we're letting them actually appreciate the kind of empty space between our builds. We're saying that there is something meaningful here, something that has been created and crafted by hand, and you should come and check it out and maybe stay a while. There is something of worth to be seen here, even though it looks empty. And this is one of the ways that terraforming is really meaningfully contributing to the player experience in your world and also to the world building. Because the fact that there is an empty bit of nature here between these two places has implications for the relationship between our two builds. Maybe they're not that friendly of neighbors, and maybe there's a reason why there is a little wall and a gate here. Before, when you guys saw and it was all this kind of flat, open plain, there wasn't really an idea of how these two places get along because they're right next to each other, but there's still a kind of weird empty distance. Now they're a little bit further, and there is a big sort of wall here, and we can kind of tease out that maybe they're not on the friendliest of terms, and they're leaving this place empty for a reason. It's not just that we, the builders, have left this place empty. The actual people who live here are not tearing down this forest for some kind of specific reason. They want it to be empty. That is going to do it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, or check out the Discord link in the description. Make sure to keep your notifications on if you want to know when we're doing live streams, and I'll see you guys next time.